Good evening. Welcome to another one of my little periodic hints and tips videos. I covered this, what I'm about to show you, in a post on the Facebook page recently, and thought I'd do it a little bit more in depth on a little video to show you the process that I was using and how the results were that I achieved. So this is about polishing. Polishing is not something I'm particularly good at. I'll stand by that. It's a process that I didn't until recently necessarily enjoy. This new set of bits that I'm using has made it a lot easier, and actually made it quite a pleasant and actually a little bit quicker process than I'm used to. So hopefully you're going to listen and see this and go, well, that's a good idea. Some of the kit I have is a little antiquated, it's been around a while, but it is still available according to Dspiae. I'll try and find some links for the equipment that I describe and put them in on the post when this goes up on YouTube with some links. I found an online retailer that deals with the brand that I have, that might be of use to people. So anyway, we'll stop messing about. Polishing plastic model kits, traditionally done by hand with cloths and compounds and blah blah. This makes life a little bit easier. Hopefully you will find it of use. So let's cut to the chase. So on the bench right now we have, this is a Dspiae Nissan R32 that I've been working on. This body is basically stock. It's been primed with SMS primer, then their gloss black, then it's had 2 or 3 coats of their purple green flip. You can see it's very subtle because it's over black, gives a very different reaction to over white. Keep losing the center. It's there, Ian, where the little arrow is. So yeah, I know. So let's close in on that, see what you think. I've got a new doodah, which makes life easier for the close-up. So I mean, it's not looking bad. It's an interesting colour. It's really, in the flesh it's a bit more green than it looks like on the screen. The problem I had was I managed to break the hood when it fell under my chair. Yeah, there were swear words and they were loud. So that's had to be repainted, and in the process there's actually a flaw. Now I'm going to disguise this cunningly with these lace decals. These are lace decals by a company called STS in the States. These are the black printed ones. I've got a couple of sets of these, like very many sets of these, and they are lovely. And they're nice and thin. They are a little bit tricky to cut on the model, so if you wanted to trim them up, that isn't particularly easy, but there you go. I'm going to make a template for parts of the bonnet as well, and I'll cover that later. But what I am now doing is trying to get this gloss coat that's on this model to shine. I have managed to lose a little bit of the trim on the edge of this window frame. That's entirely my own doing. I did that cleaning up the line, because the line on this is quite an old kit now, and for Dspiae the tooling is beginning to age a little. We're losing definition around the window edges, and particularly the windscreen verticals. So there's a bit more work gone into that than ought to be necessary, and in the process, as I say, I've lost a little bit, but you'll see that probably. I'll be reinstating that with a little bit of black rod at some point. But anyway, so the bodywork's done. The actual chassis and everything are done, and they'll be featured in another video later on down the line, when I talk about other stuff. The thing is, this has had a slight flatting with Trizact. The 6000 grade, because there was a few bits of pieces in the clear coat. There's actually a couple visible just there, which are really annoying me, but I can't get rid of them. And then it's had a little bit of hand polishing with a 1000 grade polish, simply because I needed to get a good flat surface on it before we move to this next stage. So what we're going to do is we're going to move through this process. So what I have already done, on top of that 1000 grade, I've then hit that with some 3000 grade. This is Ray Studios polishing compounds, which I really do like actually. For a start, they're in a clear bottle and you can tell how much is in it. Always a bonus. There's nice squirties, they come in a nice clean cap, everything's tight fitting, really nice that, and dirt cheap from, you guessed it, AliExpress. So I'm going to just quickly show you my process for this. So this is Dspiae, I can't pronounce it, sponge polishing set, and basically it's this doodah with Velcro, and you get polishing pads, and they are velcroed on, and they are foam, and they're pre-finished and pre-cut size, and that's it. And you can buy them in refill packs. And of course I meant to get the refill pack out of the cupboard so I could show people, and I forgot. So they come in refill packs with 12 in a pack for a couple of quid. Again, this is AliExpress, this is what it's for. So what I'm going to do is, I've already done the 3000, this one I'm going to do some 6000, some 12,000, and then I'm going to hit it with some Brazilian wax. This is Zero's pure carnauba wax. It says Roxa edition, Brazilian wax. This is the formula for dark colours ones. Might be a little bit too strong for this one, but I rather like the smell of it, to be honest. But there you go. I have also got their lighter coloured version, which is equally nice to smell, and white. Well, yeah. So this is the final stuff. So what we're going to do, we'll start with the 6000. So move the other bits out of the way because I don't want to get muddled up. Obviously the ubiquitous Pringles lid, because why not? They're ultimately recyclable, brilliantly usable. Super glues and PVAs and stuff don't stick to them, so you can pop it off when you're finished with it. But for jobs like this, they're really useful. So we're going to have a little squirt. So on the end of there's my Velcro. Excuse my Panjon. Now this is a Minicraft drill. Now they do a number of transformers for these. They're a transformed device. I have a two in output one with a variable speed setting, or a variable output setting. This is currently set to, he says, peering through a mass of cables, about to setting number 2, which I believe is about 2000 RPM. It's not massively quick, but it is enough to flick stuff around the room, so that's the one thing you've got to be careful of. I should be wearing gloves. I haven't got them. Hang on. We now have gloves. Notice they're not black. That I really, yeah, affectation I think is the word. So we're going to wear them because I don't want this wax and everything all over my hands, and I'm going to be handling the model while it's wet. So we're going to just dip our polishy paddy thing, polishy paddy doodah in there, and we're going to just, what the thing to do is just to wipe it onto the surface of the model to start with, because when you start if you don't, when you start this rolling, it's everywhere. It's on your glasses, it's in your hair, it's on, and it's one of the reasons why I'm wearing my Tamiya pinafore thing, whatever they call it, apron. That's it. And it's much like machine polishing a real car, obviously, he says, but not everybody has machine polished a real car yet. I know. So I'm just moving it. What you've got to do is make sure the thing's never stationary. That cardinal sin of stationary is where you get burned. You really don't want it to burn through the paint and to the plastic, because you'll end up repainting it, because trust me, you're not going to hide it. And it's not about spending forever on a single grit level, because you don't need to, because each one overdoes the next one. I should really have got a fresh polishing pad for this colour, for this one. So turn it off, dip it, wipe it, spin it. So what we'll do, we'll close in on that a little bit. With the burn thing is on edges. That's the problem. If you've got something sticking up into the airflow, for want of a better way of putting it, that's what you'll burn through on. So you've got to be really wary of what you're doing, and just make sure that you're comfortable with what you're applying and where, and how far you're going with it. I've got a mark on my on the dial for my transformer. That's the speed I find comfortable with doing this, because I don't want to keep having to guess it and adjust it. It just makes life a little bit easier just to be able to switch it to that position. You saw that. Now the one thing that did then is it bit, so it grabbed and it ran up the side. That's where you start to have issues. You've just got to keep the touch very light indeed. Just don't let it bite, don't let it grab. On the back I've actually already put some zoom on self-adhesive stickers and the decal for the VSpec 2 designator. What I did, they're under the clear coat, so because I want to protect them and I don't want them coming off. So they're sitting under that clear coat, so they will polish with the. There is a red decal to go on that GTR badge. At least there will be when I remember where I put them. So as I say, these mini craft drills are still available. I found a company online selling them, and they had them in stock. You do find lots of companies online selling stuff that they don't have, whereas this company actually seemed to have them in stock, which was quite cool. And the variable speed transformer is the thing you need, because you really don't just want this running at the standard speed, because it's far too quick and it will just spin up and burn through your paint. I have to say these STS lace decals are lovely, and I'm really quite pleased with the effect they've given me on this model. It's kind of Fast and Furious ish, without being Fast and Furious. An actual Fast and Furious car, if you know what I mean. Bit again, you see. You've got to be careful. You've just got to not let it grab. and that's mainly when the body, the upper section of it, hits the plastic. Alright, so what I've done there, I've done the entire body now with the 6000 grit, or grade, whatever you want to call it. Alright, so underneath that muck and palaver we should have a shinier model. So what we'll do, I'll go and wash that and dry it, and then we'll move to the 12,000 grit. Thrilling television, isn't it? And we're back. So I've washed the body. The 6000 grade polishing step is done. We have a matte-ish, turning to shiny, uniform finish, which I should say does look rather nice. Now obviously we want it shiny, so we're going to move on to the 12,000 grade now, and I'll do that. First of all, we'll put some clean gloves on. Wearing the same pair of gloves with different grades isn't really a good idea. You can get cross-contamination. You saw how mucky that last lot was getting. What we are going to do is we're going to change that. I think now this one's, I'd say, past its best, so we're going to bin that. I will replace that. I do have, as you know, I have spares, so we're going to move that. When I come back next time to do 6000, I'll have a fresh one. Treat them as consumable at the prices these cost. They are, you know, they're not massively expensive. When Dspiae, or whatever they're called, came into the market first time around, they were quite expensive. You know, I got some of their cutters from Hobby Easy many years ago, and they were mighty spendy in their day. You know, nowadays we're kind of used to it with the likes of God Hand. Yeah. So we've squirted some 12,000 onto our disc, and we've changed our thingy. So let's cut to the other camera. So here we are. I've got a green one. I've got a green one. So they are colour coded, these pads. So I've marked my bottles. You'll notice orange, the grading on it, just so I know which one. Remember which colours, which ones. So if I've already used this previously with the 12,000, that way I won't accidentally put the different one on it and then go back and then ruin my finish. So this is a little wetter, the 12,000. So remember what we said, put the polish on the model without the thing spinning, and that went all up my arm, and we're going to go into this. So now, because this is a finer grade, we're going to go longer. As I said at the end of the last segment, thrilling television, but you should get an idea of what we're doing. What we're trying to do is overlap on each pass. Which is a trick an old valeter taught me. Remember very much what I said about not being stationary at any point. Now remember, you don't have to treat this as a final thing. You could put another coat of gloss over this if you wanted to. There's nothing to stop you. If you were going to do that, I would suggest you don't use the wax stage, which I'm going to come to in a minute, until your last colour on it. So what you can use is use this to prep the surface for another clear coat if you feel that it's a bit pitted or whatever. And you're just trying to improve your surface under your gloss to build your gloss finish up. That's probably not an unreasonable thing to do. Getting into sections like that is the tricky bit. It's a very significant undercut, so you're better going at it like this, letting the foam robber shape to the detail. You know your touch is light when the foam doesn't change depth much. If you're heavier on it, there's more pressure on, that's when you're going to get burned through. So it's about having as light a touch as you possibly can. Now you can't get this, you obviously can't get this stuff back in the bottle, but there's plenty in these bottles. There's a couple of years worth of my output in one of these bottles, so I'm not that fussed about waste on it. There are much more expensive grades and versions of these polishing pastes around that I might be a little bit twitchy about, but I'm using these ones because I find they're easy to get hold of via the channel we discussed previously, and they're not massively expensive. What you will find is you end up with kind of a minimum level of the polish built into the foam pad, so you're not needing to refresh it fully every time, you're kind of just topping it up. Yeah, that went up the arm. Wow, that was close. Oops. Kind of feel like I should have elevator music playing in the background of this, you know, little plinky plonky do 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 do, because it's, you know, It's not brilliantly good TV, I know. But there we are. So we've done all of that body now with the 12,000. So again, we're going to wash it and then we're going to move to waxing. And that's when we should really see the results. Back in a minute or two. And we're back. So we've washed. We've washed the model in warm water with a toothbrush and some soap, and we are at this point. And as you can see, the shine is building up nicely. What we don't want is to leave it at kind of a nicely. We want it to shine, and this is where your wax comes in. Between here and that previous video, there has been a minor disaster in that the A post here decided to separate. I'm going to move on anyway, and I'll repair that and work out what I'm going to do to califudge that joint so it doesn't show. But you know, these things are sent to try us. It's not worth giving up on the model. It's, you know. So anyway, we'll do roof and bits and pieces with the wax now. So carnival wax. What we're going to do, we're going to load the pad up with the wax. Oh, what am I saying? There you go. We're going to load the pad up with the wax. And that softens nicely. And then we're going to start polishing. What I might do is just do the right hand side of this to start with. So much like the paste, we're not letting the thing be stationary, and we're changing the direction all the time. I don't know where that went flying off to, but it went flying anyway. To try and introduce the swirls excuse me, that you often see on cars. So I've got that to that point. Now what I have to the side of the desk is a microfiber cloth. There we are. And we're going to use that just to and if you look, you can see the difference. Much sharper, less diffused on this side. Yeah, so a nice, good, and there's a lovely level of gloss on that. It's just nice for that model. So what we're going to do is I'm going to carry on and I'm going to do the rest of that. With the wax now. It's not this, the problem with the waxing is it's the slowest section. It's the bit that takes the time, because this is where you really are imparting the polish, the shine into the model. Anybody who has owned a classic car and has spent a weekend waxing it will tell you that the waxing is what brings it to life. And I don't disagree. So from a clear coat point of view, this model's had 3 coats. No, it didn't. It started had 3 lightly dusted coats just to seal everything, and then 3 heavier, wetter coats of Mr. UV Cut Clear, the rattle can. If I'm going to polish, if you're going to polish the gloss, you need a bit of weight of gloss behind it, and so those rattle can applications do give that weight of finish material to polish. That crack on that A pillar is annoying. Not a lot I can do to change it. Just happen. These things do happen. Okay, it'll never really be therefore a contest winning model. It was never intended to be honest. This was about the process with the SMS paints, and I've kind of learnt that with this one. There's another model further down the line that will benefit from all of this, but it's a somewhat more complicated subject in a very different feel to it. Right, you know, for what, you know, this Tamiya R32 can be had for well under 20 quid online, and it, you know, okay, it's starting to get old. It's got 1998 or some 80, so it's got 1989 stamped inside it, so it's not a new item. So, you know, it can be had for under 20 quid. It pretty much falls together if you're canny, you know. I've upgraded this one. I've got Zoom On's V-Spec 2 wheels on this, which I've shown previously. They are beautiful, absolutely beautiful things. 3D printed resin, and they took the silver paint and I put on them really nicely. They look lovely for that. Still got to polish that. There you go. That's coming up nice actually. I love the colour. Wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be purple with a hint of green, and it turned out to be green with a hint of purple. But there you go. You know, I do now have a sample of this over white, and it's a very different colour over white. Let's just say that. So I'm considering what I'm going to do next time I come to use one of these flip pearls from a point of view of primers and stuff. Alright, so we'll pop the little head thing back into its box, because that's how we roll, and that goes into the storage drawer off stage right. The drill's got to place its hooks, that goes on there, and because I am a tidy soul, I will now put away the wax. So now we have a waxed model. Now, that finish is not perfect yet. At this point, I would normally be buffing it vigorously with the polishing cloth, but before I do that, I want to try and get that. No, maybe not. So we'll have a little polish of this with our microfiber cloth. Carefully. Don't want to damage it even more, because that would not be annoying at all. The problem I have is actually the plastic on this was made quite brittle by the fact that I had to strip it and I messed up one of the earlier stages, and I think that's part of the problem I'm having now with that A post. But there you go. As I say, everything we do in this is a learning process. Every time I do a model, every time I paint something, every time I do this with a model, I'm learning a little bit more about the process and about the skill set that I needed, which clearly at some point on this one I didn't have. But there you go. So there we are. We have polished, glossy, smooth, beautifully smooth actually, body shell. Panel lines are in it because they're under the gloss coat, so all the shut lines are done. That is ready for things like the tail lights and plates adding and the grill bits and stuff. The bonnet will add later. It's a drop fit. Mould it, for some reason to me I chose to mould it in clear, which to this day I don't understand, but there you go. And I've built many of them, and every time I build one I remember how annoying the clear bonnet is. But there you are. So Tamiya R32, machine polished. Yes, that shine. Look at that. Yeah, we're not unhappy with that, are we? No, is it perfect? No. Will it be finished soon? Yes. And it will do as usual, because it's a shiny car, elicit the odd ooh and ah. But you know, as a little tool, okay, there's a little bit of investment involved. If you want to do it right, you do need the variable speed drill. You don't want that thing spinning at ridiculous speed, and because you need that control. If you get that mini craft drill and you get the variable speed controller, you only need the single output one really. And the Dspiae part and the polish, you don't even have to use the posh polishes. You could try some Autoglim. You could try some Ferkla, which is, I don't even know what brand that is, but it's in my drawer. And that's a fine cut. That's a G12, so that's basically 12,000 grade, which is what was in that last bottle. Yeah, so 12,000 grade. This probably cost about a third of what that cost, but this got 30mm in it, and that's got 500mm in it. But this is your automotive application. There's a lifetime in that bottle for most modelers. When I bought that, it cost me 17 quid. I very much doubt it'll cost you 17 quid now, but there you go. Maguire's is another good brand. Ultra cut, the mirror glaze stuff, beautiful. This is the heavy cuts. This is your first pass polish, and then you've got the light cut ultra finishing stuff, and then there's a wax. Now I got their wax, and I have to say I'm not a huge fan. which is this one. I don't know why. For a start, it's brown, and it just seems to leave residue on the model. That's a good one for you. You can use that process to polish the glass as well in your model if you've got cloudy glass. This is a good one. Car glass polish by Autoglim. No, correction, the other one. This isn't the right one because this isn't for plastics. This is for glass. They do one called fast glass, which is for the plastics and acrylics. But this, if you're doing glass on your car, this stuff's the business. And the reason I've got it in there is because I do occasionally polish the windows on my cars. Novus is another brand that you'll see around. Let me move that out of the way. Novus. 3-part system, heavy cut grade 3, fine scratch remover 2. One is their wax coat, which is wet. It's not paste, it's a liquid wax, which has a habit of leaking out of the bottle, as you can see. Mighty messy to use, but really quite nice. That's a plastic polish as well, so that's very good on your glazings and your models and stuff. But you can use your polishing pads to do all this as well. So a useful thing I've got. I mean, the problem is, like anybody, there's a drawer full of this stuff just off. There's a those of you who know the IKEA catalogue will know Kallax. There's a Kallax unit under my bench. It's a stage right, for want of a better way of putting it, which is full of the little box sets with drawers in, and they're full of, duplicated, for want of a better word, because the Meguiar's duplicates the Novus and duplicates the Autoglim, and the stuff we've just been using is duplicated again. But it's finding the one you like to use and that you're comfortable using, and that's your art form. I have my process. It might not be your process. Works for me. I can show you what I do. You might modify my process a little bit and you find it works for you. You might try a different material and find it works for you. It's each to their own. But the basic underlying system of hard grade, medium grade, soft grade, wax, rinse, repeat, will achieve you good quality finish results, a good shine on a model. We've covered historically how to get to the point before you start polishing. My other video series, Build a Model with Me, which I'm focusing on the B-Max Lancer. Step 2 of that should be out shortly. I'm still learning how to edit video and I've messed it up twice, so I'm trying again. If you see that and you like it, please subscribe, like, whatever you do. I am starting to see some, for want of a better word, traction on the YouTube thing and on the Facebook channel, and thank you very much for that. If you are a habitual buyer of model kits and you have a little bit of time and you fancy going to Kent Models website, if you go onto my On Plastic Wheels Facebook page, you will find a discount code, capitals OPW. A bit of a discount on their website. It doesn't apply to sale items and some other bits and bobs, but you'll see that it's there on a lot of kits. Enjoy. Their website is it causes me to spend money I really oughtn't to, but there you go. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed that, please say so. If you've got any questions, please ask. I hope to have this up as a finished model fairly soon. As I said, it won't be perfect, but it'll be finished, which is more than some. Enjoy the rest of your time. Bye now.